You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Before this podcast kicks off, let's talk about goals. The greatest goal is a native tree crowdfunding campaign, leaving a legacy for Aotearoa New Zealand as co-hosts of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Visit treesthatcount.co.nz to donate a native tree for a brighter future.
Football Fever with News Talk ZB's voice of football, Jason Pine and Bonnie Jansen with Trees That Count. Donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal.
Welcome to the weekend. Welcome into the latest episode of Football Fever, your daily World Cup podcast in association with Trees That Count. I'm Jason Pine. Bonnie Jansen is here too. How did you go last night without any games to watch? Were you okay?
Oh, it was tough. It was tough, Piney. Not going to lie. It's so sad with no football.
Yeah, that's what happens in World Cups, right? You get so used to watching 2, 3, sometimes 4 games a day, and then you get to a day like or a night like last night, there's nothing to watch. But then you say, okay, well, we've got the round of 16 to look forward to. So maybe a night off with an early night, and that is exactly what we needed to get us ready for the next 8 matches anyway, the round of 16 matches.
Exactly. No, we're just getting to the start of it now. Like, this is where the tournament really hypes up, and it's been an exciting last few weeks. But I kind of feel like it's only just begun, and this is where the World Cup really gets, the juice.
Absolutely. The juice is flowing. The first 2 round of 16 matches are today, both here in New Zealand. Let's have a look at both of them. Switzerland, Spain, 5 o'clock, Eden Park this afternoon. History's going to be made one way or the other because neither of these two nations has ever gone further than the round of 16 in their previous Women's World Cup campaigns. Bonnie, Switzerland came through the group phase without conceding a goal. They kept 3 clean sheets in their group matches against Norway, the Philippines, and of course New Zealand. Do you see a 4th clean sheet in our future, or does Spain have enough guns to finally break that Swiss back line?
No, that is an interesting stat, and good on Switzerland in that respect. But I do think Spain take this match for sure. Like I said yesterday, it's going to be a really good test to see kind of where New Zealand, going back to New Zealand, but where New Zealand was in our group, because I'm wondering whether our group was really easy or really hard. Spain look amazing, apart from their big loss to Japan. Spain are a really, really good side. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go against Switzerland, but I think that we had an easier group. New Zealand had an easier group, and Spain will take it tonight against Switzerland quite, convincingly.
Yeah, I was trying to work out who I'd rather be going into this game. Would I rather be the Swiss with 3, as you say, not particularly testing games in terms of the real big guns of world football? Would I rather be them, or would I rather be Japan, who have suffered their heaviest Women's World Cup defeat and their worst loss for more than a decade with that 4-0 defeat by Japan? Would I rather be them because there's a bounce-back performance coming? It feels like I'd rather be Spain.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think that's the same story with the US, and we'll obviously talk about that tomorrow. But the States had some really, really tough pool games, and same with Spain. So, and that's what you want, right? You don't want to just have, a really. I don't think it works like that, just harder games as it goes on. It would be nice to have harder games early on. And that's what Spain have had against Japan, and I think they're going to come back and bounce back. I'm seeing Spain meet Japan again in the semi-final and beat Japan. That's what I'm seeing. So yes, to answer your question, I think Spain are in a really good position after their big loss to Japan, and they're going to, again, win convincingly tonight.
All right, key players for Switzerland. I looked at the way they played, particularly in the game against New Zealand. Leah Volti at the base of their midfield was kind of the glue that held them together. Ramona Bachmann and Anna Maria Sornogorcevic up front were, I guess, their most dangerous, although we didn't see them really attack that much against New Zealand because they didn't really have to, but they do have the weaponry there. But Spain probably on paper have the better players. Would that be fair?
Yes, they do. Obviously, Alexia Patas, who's the best player in the world right now, but arguably Bonmati, who I think is actually better than Patas,
Yeah.
and she's just been playing some outstanding football, and I'm really excited to see her at Eden Park tonight.
Yes.
Again, I think Spain and Google have Spain 71% win probability. So, I think that, but it'd be nice to see Switzerland put up a good fight.
As we know, though, Bonnie, those percentages haven't meant much in this tournament when it comes down to possession, have they? Spain had about that much possession against Japan and still lost 4-0. So, yeah, look, I know that they'll be the favourites in the eyes of most. And you're right, Bonmati's been terrific, especially in that 3-0 win over Costa Rica. She was just everywhere. And Patas, I don't think we've seen the best of her at this tournament just yet. So maybe she's saving herself for the big games in knockout football. But 5 o'clock this afternoon, Eden Park, the winner of this game will go through and play the winner of tomorrow afternoon's match between the Netherlands and South Africa. Back in a sec, previewing round of 16 match number 2.
While this podcast takes a halftime break, let's talk about The Greatest Goal, a crowdfunding campaign leaving a legacy for Aotearoa New Zealand as co-hosts of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 by asking fans to donate a native tree. Each native tree costs just $10, and whether you donate one or many, you'll be contributing to amazing restoration projects across Aotearoa. Visit treesthatcount.co.nz to donate a native tree and help us score the greatest goal. Looks like we're ready to kick off the second half.
Yes, we are, and the second half of this episode of Football Fever will focus on the second of the round of 16 matches tonight in Wellington. 2011 winners, Japan, against 1995 winners, Norway. We've talked about Japan a bit, but I think it's worth talking about them a bit more. They won all 3 of their games in pool play without conceding. 11 goals, the most they've ever scored during pool play. This Japanese side, I think people were talking about them as a dark horse. I think they're a rusted-on contender.
Yeah, I don't think they were a dark horse at all. Even coming into this tournament, I knew Japan were going to be a good team. Maybe not this good. They're looking really good, and I really like the way they play. I really like the way all Japanese players play. We have a couple of Japanese players in our club team, and just their style of play is amazing. But anyway, I think Japan should be winning tonight's match. However, as we talked about earlier, you don't want to peak too early or too late in this tournament. And I think Norway, after their loss to New Zealand and their draw with Switzerland and then obviously beating the Philippines, I think Norway are peaking at the right time. And I wouldn't rule out Norway to put up a good fight against Japan tonight.
Yeah, and you're right, because they had a very shaky start. Look, I was completely unimpressed with them against New Zealand in that first game. Obviously, a large part of that comes down to the way New Zealand played that night, but yeah, they were fairly uninspiring as well in the nil draw with Switzerland, but finally sort of woke up against the Philippines. Sophie Roman Haug scoring 3 goals in that game. Ada Hegerberg is their star striker, but she's still under an injury cloud, so not sure whether she'll feature tonight or not. Caroline Graham-Hansen dropped to the bench for the Switzerland game, but found the back of the net against the Philippines. She'll be key again. Couple of stats for you, Bonnie. Japan have won 7 and lost 2 of their 9 previous games against European teams at Women's World Cups. I just think this is a Japanese win. I can't see any other outcome.
See, you'd think that based on how the Japanese have been performing. But Norway, even coming into this tournament, before the tournament started, everyone was picking Norway to go far. And I heard a couple of people even say, I think Norway are going to win it. I wouldn't rule them out tonight. And that's why it's going to be a really, really exciting match. I have Japan in the office sweepstakes, so obviously I'm going to be backing them. But I wouldn't rule out Norway, and Norway didn't even have Ada Hegerberg in that last match, or she didn't play much, did she?
No.
So yeah, and they probably were resting her for this game. And yeah, I wouldn't rule Norway out. And again, it's going to be a really good test to see how good Japan actually are, because yes, they won all of those group games very convincingly, But when you start crossing over with other groups, we really see, who are the standouts. So it's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, and if they do negotiate their way through this, they know they play the winner of Sweden and the United States. So it's going to, as you say, the trajectory is upwards in terms of the teams you're going to play. Hinata Miyazawa is currently the Golden Boot leader at this Women's World Cup. 4 goals in the tournament, just needs 1 more to equal Japan's all-time record of 5 goals at the 2011 World Cup by Homari Sawa. Get these stats, Bonnie. 8 shots, 5 on target, 4 goals. Pretty efficient.
That's what you need, and we've been talking about those stats and how a lot of these teams that dominate possession, so many shots on goal, shots on target, but aren't executing it. And that's what's been so exciting about this Japanese side, is they actually have been. And I mean, we saw those stats against Spain, right? Spain dominated the possession, but Japan were finishing their shots and finishing their chances. So, that's all you really need to win these games, and hopefully they'll do that tonight, because as I said, I've got them in the office sweepstakes.
All right, well, I hope for your sake and for the sake of the office sweep that they get the job done for you. Norway's next goal will be their 100th at Women's World Cup, so they may reach that little milestone tonight as well. 8 o'clock in Wellington, Japan against Norway. The early round of 16 game today is 5 o'clock at Eden Park, Switzerland against Spain. All right, that wraps it up. Bonnie, enjoy the football today. We'll wrap these games tomorrow and look ahead to 2 mouth-watering games tomorrow. The Netherlands, South Africa and Sweden, USA. Man, I mean, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but tomorrow is shaping up as an absolute beauty, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited. I'm going to head down to the fan zone in Auckland and watch from there, because I feel like it'd be better to watch it with people around me that get football. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
All right. Have a great day today, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. That is our Football Fever podcast for Saturday. A fresh episode dropping into your podcast feed at around about the same time tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.
In this post-match review, let's score the greatest goal by donating a native tree to leave a legacy for Aotearoa New Zealand as co-hosts of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023. Visit treesthatcount.co.nz to donate a native tree for a brighter future.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.